Good morning, Year 4. It's Wednesday the 11th of November, and this is your history lesson on Boudicca and the Celtic Rebellion. Before we start, what can you remember about Boudicca? Who was she and who did she fight? Remember, you can post your answers on Microsoft Teams or jot them down for me to see later. So who was Boudicca? Boudicca was the queen of the Iceni, a tribe of Celts that lived in England when the Romans invaded. Her husband, Prasutagus, had worked with the Romans to keep the peace and prevent a fight. When he died, he left half his kingdom to the Romans and half to Boudicca. But the Romans wanted more. They took over completely, confiscated the Celts' weapons and beat Boudicca and her daughters in front of a crowd to show they, and not Boudicca, were in charge now. Boudicca decided to fight back. There's a link to this video in the description below. Watch this animatic to find out what happened when Boudicca fought back against the Roman army. Suetonius, the Roman governor who was in charge of Britain, knew that the Celts outnumbered him, and he had chosen his battleground carefully. He selected a narrow gorge that opened up into a wide plain, and the forest behind meant that Boudicca couldn't ambush him. This meant that when the Celts were fighting the Romans, they were being pushed into a more and more narrow space. Although there were many Celtic fighters, they were poorly equipped. This was because the Iceni tribes had been stripped of their weapons before Boudicca's rebellion. They'd left their wagons in a semicircle at the end of the battlefield. This was a common practice so that younger members of the family, like children, could be safe away from the battle, but watch the victory. This was a mistake. The narrow battlefield meant that the Celts had to squeeze tightly together. This made it much easier for the Romans with their superior weapons, such as long javelins, to attack the Celts. When the Celts realised they were losing, they tried to escape, but the wagons fenced them in. The Romans were able to kill all of the Celtic fighters and won the battle. So what happened to Boudicca? Historians disagree on her fate. Tacitus says that Boudicca poisoned herself when she realised that they had lost the battle, so the Romans would not be able to capture her. Cassius Dio says that she became ill and died. She was given a lavish burial. If historians disagree, it's hard for us to know. So when you're writing about this in your newspaper today, leave this as an open-ended question. It's a good opportunity to use a rhetorical question in your writing. Your task today. On your team's worksheet, write a newspaper article about Boudicca's rebellion. There's an example for you already done on Teams. Remember, if you get stuck, come back to the PowerPoint, watch these videos again. And if you're still stuck, post a question in the Ask the Teachers channel. Though remember, you may not get an answer straight away. Goodbye, Year 4.